you got some wild cards out there, guys. You've got some major variables. One big one is that briefcase is in the hands right now of Braun Strowman. Now, the Braun Strowman character that we've all grown to love on television, in my eyes, should appear next Monday night on Raw and demand to face Brock Lesnar for the belt. That's what the Braun Strowman that I've seen would do. That's exactly something that he would do. And if he doesn't, that means the briefcase could come into play and most likely will come into play at SummerSlam. And there's a couple of different things they can do here, because we also saw on Monday Night Raw that Stephanie announced that Braun Strowman will be facing Kevin Owens at SummerSlam, and the briefcase is on the line. So Kevin Owens has a chance to win the briefcase. And as much as I love Strowman with the briefcase, I wouldn't mind Kevin Owens holding it either. I think he would be a great briefcase holder. So I think one or the two of them is going to cash that thing in at SummerSlam. But one of the bigger plot holes here is what I just mentioned. Strowman has got a match with Owens for the briefcase at SummerSlam. What is stopping Braun Strowman from cashing in before SummerSlam? Then the briefcase doesn't even have to be on the line. Is there some sort of a stipulation that states that Strowman can't cash in prior to SummerSlam? Because unless that stipulation exists, I think Strowman needs to show up on Monday Night Raw next week and at least tease the cash in, at least try to cash in, and then maybe something happens where he's unable to. But I'm going to be very confused and very disappointed if next week on Raw, Strowman doesn't at least show up. I thought they might do some sort of a suspension angle with him when he threw Kevin Owens off the top of the cage. I thought maybe they would suspend Strowman just to get him off of TV to where they don't have to explain why he's not cashing in with Brock out there. But if Strowman is in the building next week and Brock is in the building next week and Strowman is not injured or suspended or locked in a cage somewhere, I don't see how he does not come out there and try to challenge Brock Lesnar for the title. But if somehow they get past all that and they make it to SummerSlam and the briefcase still exists during the SummerSlam main event, you gotta know either Braun Strowman or Kevin Owens, if he's somehow able to steal the briefcase away from Braun Strowman, one of those guys has got to cash in. And I think Owens would be a lot of fun. You guys know what a big Strowman mark I am, but if they had Owens win the briefcase and then cash in later on in the night, that would be a huge swerve. None of us would really even see that coming. And Owens, hey, he never really got his rematch, did he? After Goldberg, I don't think Finn Balor did either. So Owens, that sets up the perfect reasoning for him to cash in like that. Hey, you assholes aren't going to give me a rematch, so I have to go out and steal the briefcase and win my belt back on my own. So the biggest reason why I don't have a huge problem with Roman facing Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam is because I really have a hard time believing that Roman Reigns will spear and pin Brock Lesnar, win the Universal title, celebrate with the audience while the fireworks go off and the show goes off the air. If Roman does beat Brock Lesnar, I think the briefcase holder needs to come down and cash in. Or if they still want to keep Brock Lesnar strong, because he is clearly going to go back to the UFC at some point. He did that big, that big spot at the pay-per-view a few weeks back where he got in the ring and he got in the octagon and confronted Daniel Cormier. And they're going to set up a match in the future between those two. So WWE still probably wants to keep Brock, as this beast, as this unstoppable guy. But at the same time, you got to give us our fucking belt back. It's been a year and a half since this asshole has held the belt, and we have not had the Universal title on Raw in that amount of time. This is getting ridiculous. So some fans, even the Roman Reigns haters, have come to me on Twitter and say, I don't give a shit who wins this match as long as Brock is no longer the champion. So I think that's what's going to happen at SummerSlam. I mean, if Brock is somehow able to survive this yet again and retain again and hold the WWE title until WrestleMania, I can't even imagine that happening. He's got to drop it here because essentially two guys have the chance to win the belt. Roman Reigns and whoever is the briefcase holder upon the time of the main event. So if Strowman winds up beating Owens, maybe Strowman shows up in the main event and inserts himself and makes it a triple threat. That's very possible with Roman and Brock. So it could be a three-way and Strowman wins the belt there. They might protect Brock and have him lose the belt without being pinned, or they might have him lose clean finally and have Roman Reigns beat him, spear him, and pin him clean finally, getting Brock out of there and having somebody defeat him and putting the belt back on a regular roster member. And then from there, you can kind of have the briefcase holder come down and cash in. I don't know. They've done it a million times, but now when you throw Owens into the mix, you got Roman versus Lesnar. You can either make this match a triple threat. You can have the match run its course and have the briefcase holder come down and cash in. There's a bunch of things you can do, or you can even maybe do the cash in on Monday Night Raw. How fun would that be? And I think that would be so ironic, and it would be poetic justice. It would be perfect karma for Brock Lesnar, who has not wrestled on Raw since he's returned to the company. He has never wrestled on Raw. since what, 2004 or 3 or some shit like that? How long has it been since he's had a match on Raw? He's this big tough guy who only defends the belt on big pay-per-views against big opponents, and he's this big attraction and this big draw. But what if he somehow survives, beats beats Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, and then when he's out on Monday Night Raw declaring himself the king of the wrestling world and he's going to retire as champion, the briefcase holder, hopefully Strowman, comes down and challenges him right there on Monday Night Raw, and Strowman beats him for the belt. Title change on Monday Night Raw. Raw could use it, right? Raw desperately needs the ratings. And if you have Brock Lesnar end his 1.5 year long title run on Monday Night Raw in the opening segment, that might be fun too. So, I just ask the fans' patience on this. I understand Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar is not what everybody wants to see, because everybody is so terrified that Roman Reigns is going to have this big, glorious day in the sun. But I think we should all move past that by now. Everybody thinks that WWE is all about Roman Reigns. Every major match that they have put him in the past couple of years since his wellness policy violation has not gone well. He's only won a few of them. He's had a victory over Braun Strowman. He's had a victory over Samoa Joe and some other guys, but he's also gotten his ass kicked a shit ton of times. And he's lost. Everybody that he's beat, he's also lost to. So Roman certainly isn't being pushed like 2007 John Cena here, and he has not been champion now in over 2 years. So if he does win the belt, it's not like, oh, just sick and tired, more Roman, more Roman. No, he hasn't been the champion in forever. Considering this guy is on top of the card, he's actually overdue for a title reign if you really think about it. When you think about other people in his, on his level, on the roster, like top 2, 3, 5 guys, whatever it is, most of those guys have runs a little bit more frequently than Roman Reigns does. So it's not like WWE has got their mouths wrapped around this guy's balls. I wish the fans would get that out of their mind, because that's really not the case. But he is getting title shot after title shot after title shot on pay-per-view, and eventually you got to think he's going to win the belt. But I'm not sold on the idea that Roman Reigns is walking out of there as champion, because if he is screwed over and the briefcase holder does do something to where they're able to take the belt away from Roman or ruin his opportunity, that ties in to some of the things that Roman has been saying on TV in the past few months. Remember when he was claiming WWE's got a conspiracy against him, and he went backstage and confronted Vince McMahon at Gorilla and got himself suspended? Remember all that? So I think that can all tie in here. If Roman Reigns actually wins the belt and then gets screwed over at the end and gets the belt taken off of him, maybe by Kevin Owens, who we already know is in good with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie is the one that gave him the match against Braun Strowman, and Triple H is the one that helped him win the Universal title to begin with. So Owens walking out of SummerSlam right now, I think, might be one of the more likely options that we'll see there. So just keep an open mind, see what they do. If they have a straight up match with Roman versus Brock, Roman beats him with a spear and celebrates, and the pay-per-view goes off the air and nobody comes in to cash in the briefcase, then fine. I'll be right there hating this match with all of you. But I say at least give this a chance, to where WWE likes to do that to us too. They like to troll the fans. They like to make them think they're going to shove Roman Reigns down their throat, and then at the last minute, they yank the rug out from underneath Roman. Everybody thought Roman would win at WrestleMania. He didn't. Everybody thought he would win at the Greatest Royal Rumble. He didn't. Everybody thought he would win last year at SummerSlam. He didn't. Hell, everybody thought he was going to win a couple of Royal Rumbles too, didn't they? One, Triple H threw him out, and the other one, Nakamura threw him out. So every time the fans think Roman Reigns is going to get this big pay-per-view main event moment, he doesn't. Hell, Survivor Series, when Sheamus cashed in the briefcase, remember? So this happens to Roman Reigns a lot, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if it happens to him again at SummerSlam. So just take your lithium, take a deep breath, smoke a joint, whatever you need to do to relax. Let's not freak out yet. Let's wait and see what happens at SummerSlam before we start throwing ourselves off of bridges, okay?